Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this new initiative by the English Corner. We're going to wait for a couple of minutes before we start. By the way, I'm Camilla, and this is our first appointment with newspapers, Camilla and Caffè. While we wait, I'd like to tell you that this initiative is an experiment, so it's the first time we do something like this. Please feel free to leave your suggestions and let us know what you are interested in talking about while we're here. Let us know also if the time is right, if you think it's a good idea to have this little chat so early in the morning. And if there is anything that you think is interesting and you would like to add, the comment section is yours, so please don't worry, and you can interact with me anytime. I can see that some people are joining. I'm really glad. And just a few seconds, we're going to start at 9:15. All right, so for those who have just joined, welcome to this new initiative by the English Corner. My name is Camilla. I'm one of the teachers at the English Corner, and every Wednesday morning we're going to have a little chat. I'll keep you company while you drink your coffee, and we are going to start the day together discussing international news in English, of course. And we are going to focus on the comment of the news, and especially on the comment of the language used in the news. As I said, please feel free to leave your suggestions in the comment box and interact with me if you want. I'll try to make it as entertaining as possible. So today, I'm going to read for you a couple of extracts of an article written on the weekend, last weekend, about one of the events of the week that has had the greatest media coverage, which is, of course, the presidential elections in the USA. But before I do that, and I promise the article that I chose is quite funny, it's not boring at all, I'm going to write in the comment section a few expressions and words related to the presidential elections that has been used a lot by journalists and reporters throughout these last days. So I'm going to write them in the comments. You can take your time, have a look at them, and if you feel like it, you can interact in the comments and say if you know what these words are used for, if you know what they mean, if you've heard or read about them, in which context. So then towards the end, let's say, of our event, we are going to go back to them and have a look at them together. But in the meantime, they're going to be there in the comment section for you to have a look at. So here we go. Let me just publish them before I start reading. Okay, there they are. You should be able to see them. There's a few words and expressions over there, so feel free to have a look at them. In the meantime, I'd like to read for you a couple of extracts and comment them from an article published last Sunday by two reporters. It was published on the New York Times, and this is the title: "Dancing in the Streets and a Parking Lot for Joe Biden. Defeating President Trump can do straight things for a man's reputation." From the title, that is very compressed, we can see the journalistic style that is typical of the Anglo-Saxon culture, journalistic culture. it conveys the message, but with a very engaging language, very colorful language, and there is going to be lots of emphasis and irony in this article. So I'm going to start and read a little bit of the article. People have no historical hustled to spontaneous outdoor dance parties for Joe Biden. They have not clanged spoons against frying pans in celebration for him, formed a triumphant honk parade along Fifth Avenue for him. They have not made champagne toasts with strangers in honor through chants and tears. Joe Biden, his supporters shouted outside Manhattan Washington Square Park on Saturday. The call echoing from apartment windows and taxis and sidewalks and restaurant tables. Joe Biden, Joe Biden, that Joe Biden, institutionalist, 70-something, incorrigible, square, inexhaustible reciter of Irish poetry. So this is the way the article starts off. On one side, we have all the celebration, the excitement of the people described with this very colorful language that makes, think of vivid images of people celebrating and crying and being so extremely happy. And on the other side, we have this description of Joe Biden being a moderate politician, quite old, quite boring, really, that he recites Irish poetry. So we don't understand, why are people cheering for him in such an excited way? And here it comes, the element that puts these two clashing words together. But then it seems that defeating President Trump can do strange things for a man's reputation. So the reputation of Joe Biden has changed, not because he is Joe Biden, not because of something he has done, just because he's not Trump. So we can see what's the take of this article. Moving on, we have a bit more description of Mr. Biden that says, Biden, of course, has not generally been Washington's leading purveyor of cool. So he has not provided for great things, usually. That will not necessarily change over the long term. It is likely that gushing democratic affection would have awaited anyone who managed to beat Trump. And yet, this is a person who did it. So we have here all this enthusiasm of the Democrats. It's not necessarily for Joe Biden himself. It's just because he's the one person that managed to do this, to beat Trump. So this is all what the excitement is about. Moving on, we move on to the moment in which the results came in. So Joe Biden went onto the stage and gave a speech, and there is a little description of what happened. In his own speech, Mr. Biden was quintessentially himself. After jogging on stage to a chorus of car honks, he began with a nod to the fine people of Delaware, the people that brought me to the dance, he said, and then decided to name a few, shouting out assorted local dignitaries like city council candidate. So we have here a description of Biden that acts in a very humble way, like as if he's just a city councilman and not the president of the US. He quoted relatives, welcomes Mrs. Harris and her husband to the Biden family, like it or not. He tried to empathize with Trump's voters, noting that he had lost a couple of times himself in his political day. He acknowledged the present national gravity, he projected humility and smiled a little. So we have here really the description of Biden as any man, okay? He is It's not doing grand gestures and great parties. He's just being very humble and himself. Nothing that we would expect from the President of the United States. It had been a long campaign, 3 actually, for the presidency alone in his lifetime. He looked out on guests who had seen him lose as often as they had seen him win. Because, as you know, Biden did run for presidency before and didn't manage to win. So his supporters were there before and saw him lose. The article ends with a couple of quotes from Biden's supporters that really change the irony of this article, because it just gives us a bit of hopefulness regarding his new term to come. We were all a little nervous at that point, admitted Patty McCullough, 53, a Pilates and yoga teacher from Wilmington. But we were still 100% backing Joe. So his supporters were there. We all know him, she said on Saturday. We just can't wait for the rest of the country to experience that. So the article ends like this, with this feeling of hope and the fact that maybe Joe Biden, yeah, it's true, people cheered for him just because he managed to beat Trump. But there are some of his supporters, some of the people that have been following his political career for a long time, that really, they think he can be someone, he can do something. And so it leaves us, these reporters leave us like this. We just can't wait for the rest of the country to experience that. So in the end, all the irony from the beginning, describing Biden as just any person, a person we wouldn't expect any great celebration for, maybe we will see he might actually deserve some of this celebration. So at the end of the event, I'm going to leave the link for the whole article in the comments. So if you're curious to read the rest of it, you can go back to it and read it in full on the New York Times website. I just chose a few paragraphs for you because I thought they were more meaningful and interesting. But you're absolutely welcome to go and check it out. So I'm going to read the comments now and see if anyone commented on the words. Otherwise, I can do this. I chose a few newspaper titles from articles that have been issued during these last days. And we can see how these words and expressions are used in the titles, and we can discuss that. So one of the titles that I'm going to read for you is the following. Democrats win big in Arizona, now a former GOP stronghold. All right, so what does this mean? So as usual, the titles of articles have to be compressed, include a lot of information, and invite the reader to keep on reading the article. So Democrats win big in Arizona, now a former GOP stronghold. This is kind of a twist because Arizona is now a former GOP stronghold. GOP is the acronym for the Republican Party, and it used to be a stronghold, which means one of those states that always historically had supported the Republican Party. So everyone would expect Arizona to go vote Republicans, while this year there has been a flip, as they call it. And the people of Arizona voted for the Democrats instead. So this former stronghold, so state that historically always voted Republicans, it has become a flip state, okay? So there is a change. They switched sides. And here we have also the concept of battleground states, because there are some states in the United States that are strongholds, other ones that are swing states, which means we don't know what they're going to vote for. There is no political tradition of supporting one party or the other. And these swing states are battleground states, which means that the electoral campaign is much stronger over there. There is lots of events regarding the election campaign. So people tend to, politicians tend to focus on those states to get their votes, because they know they're not going to change the people's mind in stronghold states. All right, let's go to the next title. Dueling protests in Detroit a day after Biden flipped Michigan. So here we have again the idea of the flipping, states flipping. Okay, so Biden took the votes and moved them around basically with his campaign. So Michigan was probably not expected to vote Democrats, and there have been dueling protests. This language is very colorful, it's a very strong expression, and we have the idea here of the contested election, because it's not been very peaceful. There has been lots of opposition, of protests, a president that doesn't want to leave the office. There is we have witnessed the people saying there has been a fraud. So this is what contested election is, and that's why this happened this year, okay, because of states flipping. Let's go to the next title. Trump supporters gather in Phoenix where ballots show a Biden lead. So here we have two interesting expressions and words. We have lead. In the case of Biden leading, means he's getting more votes. So basically, the votes have been received and they're being opened and read and registered. And ballots, it's what they are. It's the paper where people actually vote. So ballot is a false friend, because in Italian we have a similar word that means something that is different, still related to elections, but it's not literally the vote. Okay? Okay, next title. Republicans back Trump's refusal to concede, declining to recognize Biden. Here we have to back as a verb. That's one of the verbs that I wrote for you in the comments. To back means to support. So in this case, the Republicans were supporting Trump's refusal to concede, to give up, to leave the office. Okay? And we go back to the idea of contested election. Last title, US election 2020, Joe Biden or Donald Trump. These states could decide. Here we have the concept of swing state, flipping, the strongholds, the electoral college voting system, that's very different from the Italian system, and the winner takes all contest. So as you might know, in the United States, the voting system is very different. So who vote is actually these electoral colleges that represent the people in the state. They collect the votes, and then the electoral college votes for the candidate that has received the majority of the votes among the popular votes. And so this is a winner takes all contest, because the electoral college will vote for the candidate that gets the most votes, and it doesn't matter the percentage. So it's possible that 51% of the population votes for one candidate and 49% of the population votes for the other one. The 51%, the candidate that received 51% votes gets 100% of the votes from the electoral college. So this is what winner takes all contest means, if you ever read it. I know that for the next 4 years, probably, we're not going to read about any of this again, possibly. But still, when the next elections come up, at least you will know what all of these strange words mean. Yes, I'm going to put actually the titles in the comments with so you can all see them. Just give me a second so everybody can have a look at them, and those who are not joining us right now can read them later on, since the video will stay on the page. There we go. Here we go. Okay. All right. So this is all I had prepared for you, because I think it's enough information. Okay. If you have any curiosity, this video will stay on. You can get in touch with English Corner if you want to discuss anything. And I will actually be here next week with a new topic to discuss, new articles to read, new titles to analyze, and hopefully interesting language for you to learn. Please don't forget that this is an experiment, so we are really looking forward to you to give us your opinions. And I hope this was interesting. I hope you enjoyed, that your coffee was a bit less bitter in this lockdown with our chat. And thank you very much. See you next week. I hope I didn't forget to say anything, but okay, if I did, we will let you know somehow. Thank you, and have a nice rest of the day. Bye.